Lesson number 16, what is empathy? Practical exercise for developing empathy. Empathy is the ability to perceive and feel the emotions and feelings of another person, understand them and empathize with the state. As we discussed in lesson 3, the second Dan-Tian is responsible for emotions, into which energy flows from all the organs. From the heart comes red energy, a person experiences joy. From the liver comes green energy, a person experiences a state of grace. If there is a lot of bile in the liver, it produces black energy, a person feels constant irritation and caustic dislike for others. That in Sharpo 39, that's what they say about such people, a bilious person. There is a certain similarity of templates of emotions. These are emotional reactions prepared in advance by our body for certain situations and events. These emotional reactions are purely individual. They are formed from the first days of our life, copied from the second Dan-Tian of our parents, and recorded on the walls of our second Dan-Tian. If a person is faced with a situation for the first time in his life, and he has no experience of what you need to feel in the circumstances, the body seems to freeze. At this point, consciously or unconsciously, a person analyzes all the available experience of situations and their corresponding feelings, selecting the most appropriate emotions for the circumstances. As soon as the decision is made, the second Dan-Tian receives the corresponding energy. This moment of fading is most clearly visible in situations when a happy event occurs, the birth of a child, the fulfillment of a long-standing dream, etc. It is clearly visible that for a while a person does not experience any emotions up to a few seconds, as if he is in a stupor, and only then begins to express his feelings. The brightness and strength of the expressed emotions are also individual. They can be expressed approximately by the scale. Emotion patterns can be rewritten by consciously analyzing your responses to events and replacing incorrect responses with more desirable ones. Then in the second Dan-Tian, other emotional reactions are recorded, which will be used as a template. You can make a double subpersonation with a different emotional reaction and change not only your emotions, but also your character. Lesson 27. The ability to empathize is possessed by people with a well-developed transcendental chakra, which envelops the second Dan-Tian, and by side channels from the second Dan-Tian to the double and to the spirit. Empaths are different. Some feel people well, others animals, others plants, and others rocks and mountains. When the second Dan-Tian opens well, we can tune into any category and feel people, animals, plants, and stones. When the empathy begins to manifest, there is still little energy in the body, so the person feels only heavy emotions of low frequency energy. At this stage, when he is just developing the ability to empathize, you need to be especially attentive to your emotional state and carefully monitor your emotions. An empath that feels people can capture the emotions and feelings of people who are seriously ill or already dying. An empath who feels plants can feel the pain of a dying tree being cut down. If an entire grove is suddenly destroyed, emotions can flood in like a wave, and a person will connect to this wave of pain and grief with their second Dan-Tian. Then his body begins to produce low-frequency energy itself, or his energy will weaken greatly, and the channels will close. Usually calm comes from stones, because they are thousands of years old and their emotions are stretched over time. However, an empath who feels stones can perceive a wave of heavy energy, having visited places where some tragic events occurred that left the imprint of heavy negative energy of suffering and dying people on the stones. It is extremely difficult for such people to visit fortresses where there were long battles, or palaces where many crimes and intrigues were committed. They feel very dejected and depressed and say phrases like, "There is blood all over the walls," or "There is pain and sorrow all over the place." The emotions of animals are not so simple. Not all animals have a second Dan-Tian. For example, a chicken has only the first Dan-Tian. Basically, these are representatives of the animal world of the highest stages of evolution, well-organized herbivores within their species, predators, cattle, and others. However, there are many nuances. In animals that live in close contact with humans, the second Dan-Tian is more developed than in wild animals. However, the larger the animal, the more energy it has and the more developed the second Dan-Tian is and the stronger. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. All have a good mood and by close contact with humans, the second Dan-Tian is quite developed. For example, the emotions of big cats, lions, tigers, leopards, and others are very strong. The bear and Sharpo 39's emotions are almost human. In domestic cats and large dogs, the second Dan-Tian is also very well developed compared to their smaller relatives. But regardless of size, there are cats and dogs that are very smart, with a high level of development of their intelligence and with very strong, almost human emotions. An empath who senses animals can pick up a wave of low-frequency animal emotions in zoos, circuses, and dolphinariums. In such places, the emotions of animals are simply off the scale, because they suffer very much from the constraint of their nature and instincts. As soon as we feel low-frequency emotions and feelings from other people, animals or plants and stones, we need to disconnect ourselves from the wave of negative energy as quickly as possible and immediately perform cleansing with the bile lesson 5. As our body accumulates energy, we can easily disconnect from the flow of low-frequency emotions of other people and increasingly catch the positive emotions of high-frequency vibrations. Our feelings will become much stronger and brighter, and we will feel over long distances. Exercise that develops the ability to perceive and feel the emotions of other people, animals, etc. First part 1. We take several photos of a deceased person, not full body, which capture some point in his life. For example, you can take photos of Marilyn Monroe. If you work with Marilyn and Sharpo 39's photographs, at the end of the lesson you will find the answer to how she felt. We look at the first photo and try to feel what the woman felt at this moment. First we focus on our second Dan-Tian, and then we consciously shift our attention to the second Dan-Tian of the person in the photo. For we imagine the image of a person, then his second Dan-Tian, and breathe white energy in his second Dan-Tian. We work with each photo for 3-5 minutes. Then the channels are automatically built between our second Dan-Tian and the second Dan-Tian of another person. In a few minutes we will feel his emotions and feelings. We repeat everything with other photos of the same person. 2. Take a few photos of other people and try to feel their emotions one by one. Photos, for example. 3. We try to capture the emotions of other people during the week, being in public and crowded places, the queue in the store, passengers on public transport, colleagues at work, etc. After a week, we move to the next stage. Second part, we carefully examine the photo below and try to understand what the white tiger feels. This emotion must be felt and remembered. This is the emotion when the tiger has identified a prey victim. 2 weeks later, a tigress attacked this woman and she was killed. The ability to read the emotions of people and animals around us when we are chosen as a victim can help us avoid trouble. An emotion when a person is targeted as a victim can come from animals that are ready for aggression, from pickpockets on public transport, from an unscrupulous boss who decided to fire an employee, from hooligans in a dark alley, from fraudsters who decided to cheat and extort money, and in other similar situations. If the emotion comes from an animal, you should leave. You can try to convey the emotions of the animal with your own, collecting all the strength, anger and readiness to fight back in the second Dan-Tian, but the energy of the animal may be much stronger, and this method will not work. It is better not to take risks and take care of your safety. If the victim is planned by the boss, you can also try to convey his emotions mentally, clearly radiating strength, self-confidence and readiness to fight for your interests, mentally broadcasting into space, I am a power. For the role of a victim, look for someone else. A technique can help with hooligans in the alley, when you internally mobilize all your strength and determination. Your readiness to give a hard and decisive rebuff, there is a high probability that you will not even be called out. There is such a concept, victim psychology. Criminals always sense our inner strength or weakness, our willingness to fight to the death, or surrender and suffer humiliation. And the criminal always chooses a victim who is energetically and psychologically weaker than himself. But even if you are completely confident in yourself, it is quite difficult to convey the emotions of not one bully, but a whole group. It is better not to take risks and choose a safer route. Write in the comments if you like the practice. Subscribe to the channel, put a like. All good mood and bye.